Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be talking about Vlad Guerrero, but before we get started, hit the like and subscribe. I want to continue to do more content. I know it's been a while, but I am going to try to be more consistent as I'm still trying to test this easy mode. So far, it's not gone well, but I'm going to continue to try, and I hope you can continue to support the channel. And here we go. So Vladimir Guerrero mentioned that he had an interview with ESPN Deportes, Enrique Rojas, and Ernesto Jerez, and how in that interview he was transparent about his contract negotiations that were unsuccessful. Now, he had mentioned in that interview that the number that he was looking for was $100 million less than the Soto deal. They were looking at maybe, if you do the math, about 600 million. They said it didn't go to 600 million, so I believe like maybe 500 to 600, maybe 550, I imagine. While Blue Jays management, especially Bob Shapiro, had mentioned that they offered him above his value. Who's really telling the truth here? What I think is simply, there's two perspectives to this, and there were two personalities that definitely had two different perspectives about this. One was David Sampson on his show, Nothing Personal, and he had mentioned that maybe the interview was not a great strategy to just talk about, wanting a pay raise, why in front of your bosses, and it doesn't look very highly for them, as opposed to the player perspective that AJ Pierzynski gave on Foul Territory, that the fact that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was transparent and he was truthful, and I believe he was truthful. And usually in the situation where the player doesn't speak up and the franchise always says that they tried to give them the best deal possible, give a player the best deal possible, but only to not know what really went on. And the fact that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in this interview was transparent and, by his opinion, summarizing it, it made him look good because it simply showed that it put more of the pressure on the Blue Jays to try to get this deal done, and why they were unsuccessful in just meeting his deadline and trying to getting a deal done of an extension before the season started. So from what we know from the interview, he had asked, about a 14, 15, or 16 year deal of some sort. I'm just paraphrasing, with that number being about 100 million less than the Soto deal. I actually have to agree with the player here. I think the player's value is valid. If they were only asking, let's say 550 or about 100 million less than the Soto deal, he is the biggest free agent that is going to be on the market after this season. It behooves the Blue Jays, who honestly don't have much of a future moving forward if they let him go. You have Bo Bichette. If you let this guy go, you're gonna eventually have to trade Bo Bichette, and then I don't understand why the Blue Jays would consider lowballing Vladimir Guerrero Jr. after they had the money and offered Juan Soto $700 million, which he turned down and ended up going to the Mets. And they were willing to offer Shohei Ohtani a lot of money, and obviously he went to the Dodgers. So if you had the money supposedly to offer for those two players, but then yet you have your best player in the building and not offer him an extension, and you're trying to lowball him supposedly, that doesn't fly. I mean, to me, I think that Vladimir Guerrero is going to have a big year. And as a betting man, right now, 16-1 odds for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to win the MVP this year. I would actually put some money on that because he's in his final year of his deal. He's trying to prove something here. And I think if he has a big year and Toronto can find a way in the wild card, I don't see them winning the division, but if they can find themselves in the wild card, in the playoffs, and his numbers are impactful, I think he has a shot at the MVP. and this is an outside chance, knowing that Aaron Judge is always the favorite every year to win the MVP in the AL. But simply this, the Blue Jays are going to be making a huge mistake if they don't pay this guy. They could have a transcendent player, a franchise player that they haven't had. I can't even remember the last time the Blue Jays had a player similar to this. And they would be able to cement his legacy in that Blue Jays uniform. Vladimir Guerrero is well beloved, not only in Toronto, but the entire country of Canada. This is the only team Canada has. Remember in the past when the Montreal Expos existed and when they let his dad, Vladimir Guerrero Sr., walk and never resign, he ended up going to the Angels. So keep that in mind. I would, if I'm the Blue Jays, I'd keep that in mind. I don't know what their number is. If they weren't willing to fulfill, let's say, what Vladimir Guerrero's team was asking for, which I believe it was in the mid fives, 500 million, 550, then I believe that the Blue Jays went under that number and they were probably in the fours. And they were probably maybe, I would assume, $50 to $100 million apart. That's just my opinion. That's just coming from me. Nothing that I have any knowledge of, but I think Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is in a good position here. I mean, he was honest supposedly in this interview from what I've heard, and I think that the fans are going to side more with Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and the fans are probably going to put pressure on wanting the Blue Jays to sign him. So honestly, if they don't take care of this guy, you might as well trade Bo Bichette. I mean, you have a talented team. You went out and try to offer for Shohei Ohtani. You went out to offer for Juan Soto, and yet you got a guy in the building that is worth maybe not as much as those two, but you're not willing to give nowhere near those two. And I understand that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. could just end up being a DH for you in the future, and the long-term contract, you don't want to pay into his 40s, but honestly, the way the market is, you're just going to end up having to pay a decent amount of money. And honestly, you're not going to have an impactful player playing for this franchise for a long, long time. You've been made the bridesmaids of every single deal that you guys tried to close on. And you guys just might as well having a player that's in the building that wants to stay with the franchise. The fans love him, and the Blue Jays are not going to do right by him. I sincerely doubt that, if the Blue Jays just let him walk out the door, because now they're going to be competing with 29 other teams. He's not going to be able to negotiate. Who knows if they'll come to the table during the season. They have mentioned that they are not going to do that he's just going to play this out. And I believe Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to use that motivation to have a very strong season. And I think he has an outside shot of the MVP. Like I said, 16-1 plus 1,600. I would actually put some money on that. But once again, please like and subscribe. Show your support. I'm going to be coming back and doing another video. I'm actually going to be doing a video of a year that I've been on this channel and see how I've been doing. Obviously, it's not been all that great, but I'm trying to improve, doing the best I can. Until next time,